So yeah, as I said, today we're going to be talking about how to unlock the full potential of Contentsquare. Kelly is going to be taking us through how they've done that successfully and applied that to a range of use cases at MyDeal. She's got some cool stuff to share with us. But before we begin, obviously there's been a ton of new functionality and features talked about today. And I want to start by asking a question to my students, to the audience. How much does a paintbrush cost? And more specifically, how much does a paintbrush cost for NASA? Anyone have any ideas? Shout, anybody, just guess something. Anybody, take a guess. $400. Fair. 2,000. Yeah. So, good answers. It's a little bit more complex than that. So, when they were building the International Space Station at NASA, they obviously built it with a large array of solar panels. And solar panels, apart from being large and powering the space, helping power the space station, also tend to collect space dust. So you need to clean these solar panels every so often. And NASA thought it would be a good idea to invest in building a robotic space arm that could clean these solar panels for on a regular basis to keep them free of space dust. Turns out astronauts get bored and like to do things themselves. So they didn't really factor in user experience. And what the astronauts decided to do was go down to the hardware store and buy a paintbrush and not use the robotic arm that NASA spent $8 million US. Hang on, here we go. Why are you not working? Hello. Thank you. $8 million US developing. So, yeah. So, moral to the story is, new tech is great, but if you don't put it to use, it's ultimately of little value. And so, what we've tried to build, and I'm going to paraphrase Dave here, and I know he said this differently, but he said something ages ago that stuck with me. I'm sure he didn't relay it this morning, but he said, if we're going to develop an AI in Contentsquare, let's make it useful. And that was a good principle. And so what we've started to do is effectively build you a mission control panel right in the platform. So we've got this shiny new mission control panel, this shiny new robotic arm that we'd like you to use. And of course, we've got Sense and Copilot. Idea behind that is we want to make it simpler, easier to get data and insights out. We want to, we've added session replay summaries and VOC generative capabilities through AI. And so we want to be able to get people insights faster. Let me see if it works. Yep, okay, simpler, easier, yep. Faster, it's working again, thanks guys. Yep. And of course, Data Connect to help our data go broader. So these are some of the new capabilities we're obviously launching, and but we still need you ultimately. Like, this won't be of value unless you find ways to leverage them. Okay. So a couple easy hacks, easy challenges for your teams potentially to leverage this new mission control panel with the Copilot. Most of you in the platform, here today, who are customers, will have access to it already. If not, you'll probably get it in the next week or two. Ask a new question every week. Simple little challenge for your teams. Yeah. If you're using the AI summaries in the session replay, pick a new page, sort by frustration, and see what the summaries turn up. Another weekly challenge. Go to docs.contentsquare.com, our incredibly rich data set that automatically captures all the events that your users generate while they're visiting your site is there available to be piped into a data warehouse of your choosing. Share the documentation, docs.contentsquare.com, the API documentation, the raw data, what it formats it's in. It's all there to be looked at. Share that with your BI team and see if they would find it of value. Yeah. If you're using the VOC, try a new survey every month and look into the new multi-session segments that they've launched as well. Try looking at what people who transact over multiple sessions do versus people who don't. So just some simple different things that you can now do in the platform as part of the new release. Great technology does not always equal automatic value. But fortunately, Kelly is going to be taking us through how they've done this successfully at MyDeal. So please, everyone, make her feel welcome. And just bear with me a sec, Kelly, while I get the questions up. And we've pre-prepared one or two. Welcome.
Thank you. Hello, everybody.
Thank you for joining us, Kelly. I think what we're going to start with, just to help kick things off and get the conversation flowing, is just if you could share a little bit about yourself, for those of people who don't know you yet, and tell us a little bit about how your teams are currently leveraging the platform.
Yeah, for sure. So you would have heard a co-worker speak earlier today, Ryan Gracie, talk about MyDeal, and MyDeal is one of the brands that I work with. And when I joined MyDeal, we weren't using data to the best of our abilities. We had very basic tools, and I thought there must be a better way to do this. And we went on a journey 3 years ago and looked at what was best in market, what could best suit not just one team within the company, but a range of different teams. And when we went through the POC period with various companies, what stood out for Contentsquare and why we continue to use it today is just the ease of use and the really easy adoption between all of our different teams. So we have it embedded within our product practice, within our UX teams, within our SEO teams, our e-com merchandising, our websites, and now surfacing that out into our email channels and our acquisition teams as well. So not just one use of how MyDeal uses Contentsquare, but how Contentsquare can be used for lots of different purposes, lots of different jobs to be done, lots of different missions that everybody is looking to improve our customer experience through all lenses and all angles. It's been really great to see champions within our business who are passionate about the customer experience. We do come together and discuss, what are our findings, how can we do things better, and just that shared understanding as a business of our customers are core of our heart, core of our business. We need them to come back. We need them to transact with us. We need to share our findings with other business units. We have 4 marketplaces amongst us, and they can share those insights back with us as well. So we're just consistently learning from one another. And Contentsquare has been a great enabler for us to be able to quickly find insights, quickly understand what our customers are doing, and just make better decisions every day using data as well.
So the next question, and there's a bit of a visual component to this. Actually, would you like me? How about I take your orange juice, and you give me that. There we go. There, let's do that. So the question is, can you give us some examples of how you've driven adoption, or high adoption at MyDeal amongst these varied teams of different skill sets, different focus areas? Can you elaborate for the audience on that?
Yeah. Before I share I've got 2 examples here. I just want to really give a big kudos that it wasn't just one team. or part of the team that came together for these achievements. It was a really big team effort through many parts of the business to actually achieve the outcomes that we have. So really just want to give a big shout out to, all of the people that have worked so hard behind the scenes to, see the great results that we are seeing today. So, our product page. People land here either as their first page, they've come from an email campaign, they've come from a Facebook ad, and their first impression is our product page. Or they, come and make a search on Google and they click on an ad, or they go, what is MyDeal? I would like to explore more. And they navigate to our product page through various means. Most of the time it's through search, they know what they're looking for. They have a product in mind, and then they go through the funnel of search, looking through product listing pages and landing on a product page. But our product page was so slow. Just the drop-off numbers that we were seeing just was really affecting conversion. And I guess as a brand, if it takes you so long just for the page to load, for the title, the imagery, people will definitely lose interest, and especially given that majority of our customers are on a mobile device. They are traveling, they are on the commute, they're not just sitting at a desktop where Wi-Fi could be better in your home. So the slow loading page was definitely hindering our growth. And same with the poor user experience. We hadn't updated our product page in the past many moons. We had maybe done small feature improvements here and there when we found bugs, but just giving it a really big, thorough comb over of what's working on the front end, what's working on the back end, what isn't working. As Google's AI improves, can it crawl our product pages to its best of its ability? Is the SEO working and performing as it should be? So not just looking at the front door, what are our customers seeing, but making sure that you guys are looking at the back door. And all of that equates to our favorite three-letter acronym, our CWVs, our core web vitals, where Google, is obviously crawling our pages, ranking us amongst all the other competitors, and assessing whether or not you surface higher or lower on the search results pages. So it was really key for us for this particular project, our most highest performing page. We've got the add to cart buy now buttons. We needed to improve these pages significantly. And as a marketplace, we definitely did have some challenges in that we don't just have one single product page where you buy one size, one color, one variant. We have lots of different ranges. Our most complex one is you can select the condition. If I talk about a phone, is it new, is it old, the color, how big of a phone size you would like. And all of these different combinations amount to all of the different choices that a customer can have on one particular page. They may go and look through product images. Can they actually zoom in or zoom out? Our mobile product page, you couldn't zoom. If you were zooming the entire page, not just zooming into the image, and that can lead to distortion in the customer experience, and that is not an expected behavior. A lot of our customers, when we were doing testing, we asked them, what do they expect to see? What is the expected norm when viewing a page? And what we were displaying to our customers was definitely below par. And it was really clear and evident that we were losing revenue because of this. And being a page where a lot of customers would land on as their first impression, we weren't giving our best foot forward. So a lot of time was spent with our UX team, with our product team, with our other business units, our SEO team and email marketing, going, what do you need from our product page for you to also perform better at your job? From an SEO perspective, they needed all the metadata to be there, to be accurate, to be in the right position. For our CRO teams, they needed to be easily able to inject content in and find places really easily. For our UX team, spending many hours, and this was before AI Sense or the session replays came in, and it would have been a great help back then. We spent so many hours watching session replays of what are our customers doing right or doing wrong. So a lot of time and effort was spent across multiple teams to create a better experience for our customers. So we updated our technology stack from .NET to React, which was a really big effort from a dev perspective, and that reduced our page load time by 62%. So that meant that when our customers are landing on our product page, it's as fast as lightning. It's so quick that even before you blink, it's there. And our customers, from a first impression, can have that confidence that the brand is a little bit more reputable, trust a little bit more. We've done some improvements around frustrations for our customers. So because we are dealing with sellers, they don't just have one warehouse in Sydney or Melbourne. They come from all around the country, lots of different ranges of shipping and whatnot. And we found a really large pain point around customers having to input their postcode. And just using updated technology, we were able to infer the customer's location, and that reduced the actual input field interaction by 94%. So just one less interaction for the customer, and just understanding of your product page, what can you start to look to automate? What can you start to use new technology to understand these things? And I guess one thing that from this morning session around talking about shoe sizes, that could be the next thing. If we know what size you're looking for, if you're consistently looking for bed sheets in the size of queen, can we just infer that? Just make your choice a little bit easier. And then we also looked at the hierarchy of the content on our page. There's a lot of information that we surface, whether that's due to legal reasons, marketing want to push a campaign further up here and there. We have product descriptions, and just trying to ensure that our customers have all that knowledge up front, just by reshuffling and also updating a couple of different locations of components, made it a lot easier for customers to understand that if I was to select a size or a color, and if I wanted to buy multiple of them, rather than have them in two different locations, putting them closer together, improve the attractiveness rate of those just by improving the layout, interaction and placement. So yeah, this particular product page, we did a slow rollout, and I guess that was really key for us during that slow rollout. Was as we rolled out to different segments of customers, we were continuously learning and iterating on the product page as well. It wasn't just a big bang, let's hope for the best. Using tools like Optimise, like Insider, where they do have those sorts of features, you're able to just take a bit more of a considered approach, and especially if you are releasing to your key segments that do interact quite highly on your page, like your logged in users, your loyal users, that will give you quicker feedback. And so we noticed a couple of interactions that weren't as expected, and we were able to quickly refine that. An example being, because we are a marketplace and we don't always have control of our stock, when stock does run out, we currently display our stock levels based in an alphabetical order or by size, 7, 8, 9, 10. And if the first two are sold out, that's not really relevant to you. And so we reordered that sort order to have sold out displaying last. And that just really improved the user experience, especially on a mobile device where your space is limited, and there's lots of variants to consider. If you would like to know more about how we went through the whole entire uplift of our product page, there's lots of MyDeal people floating around here, or you can come reach out to me afterwards as well. Love to share more. Another example that I'd love to share is because we've integrated Contentsquare on not just our desktop and mobile sites, but also on our native apps. And just small improvements can make a really big difference. And like you're working on your product day in, day out. You either open the website or the app every day, and things just kind of become the norm. So really taking a step back and analysing and looking at best practice, what could be best practice last year may not be best practice now. Our customer expectations are changing constantly. And for us, for the app, the landing page is a lot different to the web. A lot of customers who open the app because they've downloaded it, they may open it and their home page is their first interaction rather than on the web where it's the product page. And so that experience is really different. And so if you're a customer landing on the home page, we used to have this I would find it annoying. A carousel that was consistently auto-scrolling. It didn't give me enough time to read all the content. It didn't give me enough time to digest the sale or the offer that was being presented to me. But just by really simple tweaks, user testing, looking at best practice, and looking at accessibility as well, especially on a mobile device, we've noticed that a lot of our users would, if you increase the size of your system, of like your font size, that also carries out to your apps. So making sure that when you're designing for your app that you are thinking about accessibility, the labels and the images are responding correctly as well. Otherwise, you're losing out on a group of customers as well. So we removed the image auto scroll. That reduced the rage clicks because people were actually being able to understand the information. And then we also increased banner interaction. So we encouraged users to scroll because we were giving them better understanding of, we had these pagination dots, we had peaking sliders. There was more content for users to see. So, and especially on a mobile device, scrolling left and right and up and down has become the norm. So lots of different directions to display content for our customers. So, from an entire page uplift to just a really, really small component, we've been able to use Contentsquare to identify where our customer pain points are and then use additional tools, speaking to business stakeholders, understanding what our customer requirements are, and it could be different from MyDeal's business to yours, and then being able to action it to be able to see these results as well. And again, like other speakers have mentioned beforehand, with Contentsquare you're able to understand insights, but also know the impact of the change that you're making.
I vividly remember that carousel, actually. Very cool, Kelly. Some interesting, I'll let you have your drink.
Oh, thank you.
Some very cool things that you guys have been doing. There's a lot of synergy as well with what Natalie from Mitre 10 was saying as well earlier this morning. I think some of the things you've been talking about, it seems like simple, but some common sense stuff there that having a democratized data set helps empower a collective to make those decisions and put things into action. And I think that's pretty cool. We've got some interesting questions. How do you manage, the first one that I'm going to throw to you is, how do you manage in a big organization when customer experience insights uncover upstream product or customer data issues that require other squads to solve? I'm not sure who asked that, but perhaps maybe people in marketing raise something, or people in trading might find some frustration and they share it. How do you go about then evaluating that and actioning it if needs be, or how do you handle that situation?
Yeah, definitely. I think being able to reach out to the right person is key. So understanding within your own organisation who might the product people be to be able to bring these questions and issues to light, because within each team you have your own prioritisation, you have your own roadmap of things that need to be done, and so understanding where does it fit within that. Is it something that can be broken down into smaller pieces to be improved over time, or is it something that needs to have an immediate impact or an immediate change to then have an impact? I think also framing the question as well. So it's one thing to just come up to somebody and be like, hey, I found an issue. They'll be like, okay, cool, what do I do with this? But if you were to put it into a framing of, because of this, this is happening. If we don't fix this, then this will happen. So just building a bit of a story as to why this metric or why this frustration is important to you, so that they can also understand and be brought along the journey. And it just makes it easier. We all love a story. We can all connect better with stories, so bringing that little bit of storytelling back into the data or issue that you've found.
Do you ever find yourself helping some of these stakeholders do that from time to time?
It is a craft to an extent. It's also just a bit of an education piece of like, and the questions that I would ask them is like, okay, cool, you've found this piece of information. How does this affect you? and they might go off on a tangent, but then always bringing it back to, is it affecting your day-to-day? Is it affecting the users that you're interacting with or trying to reach? How big of an impact is this against the grand scheme of things? But also being like, okay, if we were to fix this now, are you okay to push something else back? Or can it come a little bit later? Because at the end of the day, each business unit, again, has their own priorities, and if everybody keeps pushing their own little agenda, nothing will get done. All of the things that was agreed upon at the start of the year or within the quarter won't get done because you're just fixing all these little things. So yeah, having that open conversation about what is that impact of the issue that you're found.
I think the challenge is like sometimes people get quite narrow focused and don't stop to consider sometimes as well the bigger picture that the issue that you found may have actually be having, maybe you saw something, but it might only be impacting 5 people or something like that. So, I saw another question here from David. How do you balance a focus for long-term customer experience strategies, and this is sort of flowing on from what you've just said, versus short-term issues, optimizations, and fixes? So I think you alluded to it a little bit with breaking it down, but let's keep to hear what you say.
Yeah, what I've been trying to do within MyDeal is encourage different teams to action and hypothesize and A/B test in a way. So, you know, we're still forming our CRO function, and that's a really good place, I think, for if you were wanting to improve something quickly, could it be done through a CRO practice rather than going straight up to product? Because sometimes the product roadmap, we're working on such large projects that we won't be able to fit that in. And also getting buy-in from other different stakeholders. Because if it's impacting more than your own group of people that you work closely with, but if it's also being like, hey, it's impacting your reporting, or hey, it's impacting your sales funnel in this way, then you at least get more people on the journey and more people involved in it as well. And getting it higher prioritized, if not in the current roadmap, then in the next. It is a juggle and it is a struggle. We have so many different parts of the business that we are trying to support that, you know, we're so grateful that we've got people who understand that little bit of push and pull. We can't do everything, we can't achieve everything, but trying to also understand if we were to fix it, what's that business value coming back to at the end of the day as well. So again, having that data-led insight, going if we were to improve this, then you'll get this in return. So having those metrics within your storytelling is also really important.
This next one, there's a couple of this kind of flavour. But the next one sort of touches on whose role in, say, MyDeal in your or the wider sort of Woolies Market Plus space is data analysis, and this kind of talks to the premise of our question about scaling Contentsquare and probably any insights platform at MyDeal. Whose role is data analysis in the organisation? Is it a product manager, data scientist, UX designer, and by extension, do your front end engineers look at data and insights?
It's a great question. Within MyDeal, everybody looks at data. We do have a BI team, and they look at data in a different way to how product and UX would look at data. And I would say that everybody needs to look at data because we're all trying to solve different problems. So like, for example, UX would look at data based on frustration. Where is the most frustrating part of this page, this journey? How can we look to improve it? If we look at, say, the e-commerce team who manages the merchandising of our homepage, they'll be looking at the sales of these events and how is it performing. So I guess with the benefit of Contentsquare being so accessible and making data so accessible, it means that everybody can look at data. Everybody can make these micro decisions on a day-to-day basis and not be inhibited by a team. And that just allows the BI team to do more valuable work because they could be supporting the strategy team. They could be supporting a wider initiative. And that also empowers our team members to have their voice and their say into this is what I think is important within my day-to-day. This gives me the power to raise these issues with data in mind, and also to give them the flexibility of learning more about data, because not everybody will be in love with data. Not everybody will get it and understand it from day one. Some people may be more interested in the visuals or the graphics, but also A/B testing visuals and graphics can also lead to improvements as well. So definitely sharing out that knowledge to every team member is really invaluable.
Is there? So you mentioned how when you joined, you didn't have it. So and some of the wins you've talked about today obviously talk about a concerted effort amongst multiple teams. So what I guess is any tips that helped encourage this natural curiosity amongst like you mentioned, SEO, UX, etc. Anything? Do you remember any initiatives or any particular challenges that were set forth? What kind of helped tick things along?
Talking to people. Finding who within those teams is already looking at data, because they might be looking at it in different areas. They might not be looking at it in the same tools that you're using. And they might also teach you something else along the way. So just going for a coffee chat, going like, hey, I'm exploring this. Does this kind of pique your interest? And you'll be so surprised at how many teams are currently working in silo, but could be working better together because you're all looking at the same information, you're all trying to achieve the same goal, and you could do it better and faster together. So I had to have so many conversations with each of the different stakeholders at the beginning of the journey, and to also be like, what is missing from your data set, or what is missing from your understanding, and what do you need to fill it so that it makes your job a little bit easier? And those conversations have really taught other marketplaces, because we're all using different tools and platforms, what the benefit of working together really involves. And I think, it's a lot of conversations and just being open about it may not be the best structure we have today, but what can we do to make it look better for tomorrow or in the future, so that the data that you're looking at is accurate, you're all talking to the same numbers, and you're all achieving the same goal.
So you almost played the role of an internal business analyst.
Pseudo. But I enjoy talking to people as well. So yes, always open for a chat.
So find whoever in your organization is a chatterbox, and find your Conrad or your Kelly, and then get them to ask these questions. I like it. Related to this, Nat has asked, do your developers use Contentsquare? And if so, how did you get them to adopt it, embrace it?
They don't specifically use Contentsquare, but our product and UX team would share the insights to them in a bit of a showcase way. And that's the way that we've found to be most engaging, is to really bring forward the problem that we're looking to solve. And it's been a journey for us in trying to understand how do we get developers engaged in business talk, because all they want to do is just code and push it out, and that's it. So within the showcases, we take them on the journey of, this is the business problem we're trying to solve. What value does that add to the business? These are the customer frustrations, and showing a video, a graph, something visual to them, it just clicks. We're really lucky that our developers, new and existing for a really long period of time, they are customer obsessed in a different way, in that they would always look to find better ways of doing things so it's quicker for them as well. Some of our devs look at metrics from Lighthouse, for example, or the Core Web Vitals, and if I take the product page uplift, for example, they were looking at uplift ways that potentially product and SEO weren't looking at it. So again, they are looking at data, but maybe from a different perspective or a different angle. And that just adds a little bit more context to why a particular project is important, because everybody is then invested in it.
Yeah, it's a common, touching on some things I heard other people talk about. Regularly hear some of our clients talk about this challenge of bringing different teams together, and I like your idea of sharing stories and sharing visuals and getting buy-in, and I think it sounds like that works no matter which team you're talking to. So don't treat your devs any different. It sounds like that's the takeaway. There's an interesting one here. How did you get your team and your wider team to align on key metrics and upskill them to self-serve? So you talked about the earlier part about uncovering what they need and, understanding what data they're currently looking at, what data would they like to have. But then once you've got a tool, a visual, analytics platform like ours, or maybe some of the other tool sets, what gets them to adopt it? Have you noticed anything that helped with that?
Yeah, I think setting a benchmark. So knowing where you are today, and like some of the other speakers have touched on before, just having way too many metrics can definitely be overwhelming. So selecting the key few that are important to that particular team of people. So like, for example, if we look at, if I take our email team, traditional email tools, the insights that you would get is click rate of the email campaign, open rate of the email campaign, and people who've unsubscribed. So for us, what we tried to do was be like, hey, did you know that you can also track what they do after they click on it onto our website? Is it better for them to land on a product page? Is it better for them to land on a curated category of products or a selection of range that you're looking to sell on? How does that then tie into the customer life cycle of that particular customer and group? And giving them examples, and it might take you a little bit longer because you're doing the hard yard and you're trying to answer the question for them, but it also, you would see it in their eyes or in their thought process of a light bulb moment, because they're like, oh, I never knew I could do that. So sometimes you do have to kind of preempt those questions or preempt the problems that those teams are looking to solve to get their buy-in as well. So it does take a bit of that wider thinking of, if using this tool, what can it do to support other teams? And that's where those conversations, those one-to-one conversations that I mentioned before, trying to understand what they're looking to solve, really helps create those framing questions and to create the answers that they may be looking for, and to just encourage them, for, in this example, to be better email marketers.
That's a great example, Kelly. I think in the last few minutes we've got, can you tell us a little bit about what's next for MyDeal and Woolies Marketplace, and the upcoming Senate inquiries into Woolworths? And no, I'm joking. About what you guys are focusing on next and what you're looking to do.
So I think what's been really great with the release of some of the new AI features is that, I would say it's the first round. I'm definitely looking forward it to become smarter. Our implementation is really custom. We're not just tracking your basic pages. We've got lots of different, and I'd encourage you guys to look at, to your business, what are the custom things that you guys need to track and understand more about. And for us, just because we've done the product page uplift, we're consistently looking at session replays, and with the session replay summary, that's been a great time saver. And we're like, hey, sort to highest frustration. What are customers now most frustrated about our new page? What can we now look to fix? Understanding as well, what is that next thing that we need to improve on, other than, we've got the customer to click add to cart. Can we make our checkout funnel a bit quicker, a bit smoother? How can we reduce drop-off? Again, we're an e-commerce business. At the end of the line, conversion rate. We're always trying to improve our conversion rate, but also those micro interactions to edge them closer to that conversion rate. Your new features about returning customers. We do get a lot of anonymous users, and when they sign in, that's great. We know who they are now. And how do we get them back? So understanding of those return users, their journey is a little bit different. They know who we are. They are searching in a different way. They're spending different amounts of time on different parts of the journey. So it's just more segments that we're looking at to try to optimize and convert as well. So yeah, and just with the prompts, you know, that's where I'd love for it to get better.
Fair.
So, you know, for me, I'd love to be like, hey, so of this customer group that I've just created, what's their frustration point? So yeah, lots of different improvements for you, Conrad.
Yes. It's coming, yeah. What about MyDeal and Woolies Market Plus a little bit as a whole? I know you mentioned to me anecdotally, just quickly, like treating sellers as almost as like a separate customer group. So anything you can say about your thoughts around it?
So within like the team, obviously customers who come to our website and transact is one part of customers that I would call them. Our other customers is definitely our sellers, and then another customers are our internal employees and how they use our different systems. So from a seller perspective, there's so much data within Contentsquare. Like they have obviously chosen to come onto our platform to sell their products, but how can we surface those customer insights back to our sellers? Be like, hey, for example, these customers are interested in this selection of categories. They're spending this much time on your page versus some other seller that's selling the same product, and just giving them insights into what they could also be doing better. But at the end of the day, they're a seller that could also be selling on other marketplaces. So we can only give them insights, but for them to action it is on them. And you know, we do need to find that balance of how much time do we invest in this versus other projects. So again, it's that balance of how much return do we get. Just because the platform can do it, doesn't mean we should.
It's interesting. It almost sounds like you might have to repeat what you did internally with some of your sellers.
Yes, it's an ongoing conversation.
That's it for Kelly. So please, everyone, give her a round of applause. Thank you.